Let's make a little room here. See if I can just a little. That should work. All right, I'm just getting ready to get started putting together all of the parts for the laser rifle. I guess I should go over the pieces. So this part right here is the microcontroller. Well, let me get. Here's the microcontroller. It's a Uno clone, an Arduino Uno clone, not an actual Arduino. I had one lying around, so I decided to use it for this project. This is a wave shield from Arduino, and if you saw this earlier, you have to actually construct this board. And then here's the memory card with the sounds on it. And these just go together just like that. So that's the microcontroller and then the audio output all in one. And I mounted it on this piece of plastic because originally I was going to make a long piece that had all the components on it, but that just would not work. But I still left it on the plastic just to give it some space inside and a little protection if it gets bumped around. I used leather washers that I made to space it off from the board, from the plastic part. So all the pins underneath the microcontroller are all safe. There's a little cushioning in there for them. This is the inside of this computer speaker. It was actually two. I pulled it out, opened it up, pulled all the guts out, so I could have an amp in there to run the speaker, which is inside here. And I drilled holes just to let the noise come out a little better. And then I secured that speaker in there permanently. So I just pulled the board from inside there out and then rewired. I know this is kind of ugly. I had a problem, so I'm making do. But this, I rewired it. So here's this jack goes into the wave board, like that when it's done. And then for the power, it's going to get powered just like the microprocessor from the 9-volt battery that I have. So all that's going to connect up to the board here. It looks like a mess, but it actually does make sense. And I'm putting the battery underneath in the hand grip because there's a handy little chamber there that I can use to put the battery in. So that's what I'm going to do. That way you don't have to disassemble the whole thing to replace the battery. If it goes out, you just pull this piece off. It just screws on the bottom right there. And then here's the front part with the laser inside. Let me see if I can show you. There's the laser in there, and that's going to come out here. Again, Christagen Cosplay, thanks for joining the chat. You can see my struggle putting this thing together. And then the wiring for the laser is just running out here, and there's some connections that I'll make to the board on these pins. Ground and pins output 6 is what's going to fire the laser off of the microcontroller. And since I bought the laser from Adafruit, so all the things you usually have to put on just a raw laser are in there, so I can just run that straight to the 5-volt power and ground, and it works fine. It's not going to cause any problems. And then the power to the controller is going to come from here. See, from the back of the main assembly, I have some wires. This is the power, and in there is the laser connections, but since I separated it, they went in a little, so I'm going to drag those back once I put this together. Here is the trigger assembly, and I'm not finished with it yet. As you can see, I'm smoothing things out, but I'm going to use it, put it together to make sure everything works. I think that is all of the major components, so I'm going to just go ahead and get started. Start with the front and work inside, and then move to the back. Okay, so first thing is push the front in to the body. There we go, and there. All right, and then screw it all together. I'm going to start on the top because I thought I could. Well, it still holds it together nicely. For these, well, let me show you. Right here, there's two tabs that you screw in underneath, and then that holds these in. So then you're going to screw through them from here. That's how you connect these, and then on the bottom there's another screw. So a total of 3 screws are used to hold the front to the body. There we go. And then use countersink screws, because that's how the holes are made, and they fit down there nice and flush. Grab my screwdriver. I'm just going to start these screws in. Got a little, there we go. Just enough to hold it up straight, I was hoping. Well, I didn't even get to the tab, so probably why it started coming apart. And there. Now do the bottom screw, and that just goes right into here. Go and tighten that. Now for these, they don't go through any nuts, they just thread into the plastic. Most of the screws do that except for these two, and then there's 2 in the handle that actually go into a nut. All the rest go into the plastic, so you do not want to over tighten them, because it will just strip out that plastic and you'll have a big issue trying to get that all to get put back together. And then if you can see, there's a few damaged parts for me putting this together, taking it apart, trying to get it worked out. That's another reason I haven't done the final the final paint to it, because I have to go over it again to hide those. And let me see if I can reach in for, come here. It's caught up. Oh, whoa, almost lost the. There, whew, that was close. So I'm going to reach in and get the connections. There they are for the laser. And these are just on the ends of most of the wires. I put the micro electronics. These are the female ends, so they can just connect right to the Arduino board or the pins on the boards. Could just solder, and if you're building one for yourself, I would recommend just soldering all the connections, that way they won't come apart. But this is the first one of these I've made, and I keep taking it apart, putting it together, so I made these connections so I could do that without ruining everything. And they should hold plenty fine. I doubt they're going to come apart. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well, but I'm just letting you know that soldering every connection is permanent and a much better idea. And if you build this right, you only have to do it once. All right, so we have the front done. Now we got to put all the electronics inside, or I do. You get to watch. So First thing I'm going to do is hook up these speakers, which there are a speaker wire. Okay, so here's power, ground, laser. There's our speaker. Okay, so red to red. Whoa. Okay, that gives us our connection to the amp, and now I am going to try to shove that in there without losing any, well, dang it, any more wires. Actually, I'm just gonna, no, I better not. Okay, so now get this into the main body, down far enough that the rest of the Arduino will fit in there as well. And inside where the two pieces meet, there's a square bit of material on the inside, so that's what makes it difficult getting it to where you want it, is it gets caught on there. And there we go. Okay, I think we're good for once. All right. Now to hook up the board. Okay, so the audio. Actually, let me put the power in first. Try to keep the wires from tangling up. So power goes in here from the 9-volt source, which is going to be here. Now we'll plug in the audio. Okay. Next, the power and ground and controls or the trigger mechanism, and then power and ground right here. There. And now the laser connections. So I'm going to start running this in my, oh, I'm on the side. That's where my problem is. Okay. Actually, let me hook these up. Get a little more. Alright. So the Arduino and the wave shield barely fit in here, and they only fit in here in one direction, like this. So let me try to stop this from being such a mess. Alright, there we go. So now that I have this started, I'm going to hook the power side for the laser to the pin, and then the ground to the other ground pin, which is a lucky thing about Arduinos, is they provide you 2 grounding pins, so I didn't have to wire